And if you're a human being and you love to eat, smell and see good food right before your eyes, there's also a high chance you'll like my next guest, because he blends the two together. Francesco Elia from Hevington in Norfolk is a self-professed lover of Italian food, a chef, but also the last 2 years, a YouTuber. He documents and makes videos of some of his favourite recipes, but also stories that are passionate to him within the world of food and his roots. His latest documentary is called When the Sun Meets the Olive, the Voice of Sicily, looking at olive oil production on the Isle. So, where does his passion for Italian cooking come from then?
Well, I'm Italian. I come from Sicily and I was born there. I've lived in the UK for the past 35 years and I've made the UK as my home. I love cooking. I always loved cooking. Growing in Sicily, you are exposed to a lot of cooking, of course. And Sicily, even more than mainland Italy, because there's an awful lot of still traditional cooking going on. But as a child, I was never allowed in the kitchen. You can just imagine.
Oh, no.
My mother would never let me touch anything. So when I arrived to the UK and we had children, and I used the opportunity to effectively translate some of those earlier experiences in the recipes.
Yeah.
So I always used to cook weekends and always used to cook during the holidays. And I loved it because it gave you cooking. If you do it with passion and you do it with a purpose, it gives you the opportunity to really switch off from everyday life. And you go in the zone, in a world which is yours, and you can create something beautiful from just a few ingredients, which is what I really often like to do. And that is actually where my Mediterranean cooking is often associated to Cucina Povera and so on. And I worked really hard. I worked as a finance director for 35 years in social housing.
Right.
I made myself a commitment that when I would reach the age of 55, I would slow down. We are in this world for a limited amount of time, really, and often it's not until it's too late when you think, oh, I wish I would have stopped earlier.
Yes,
so I don't want my body to tell me to stop. I wanted to stop at an age where I could make that logical decision myself and do something different. So I made sure that I financially was okay, my children had grown up and moved on. So one day I was watching this YouTube channel and an Italian cook, and I admire, and I thought, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
I love to share values with the world. So I contacted him. Actually, he's a very popular chef in Italy, and to my surprise, he replied within a couple of hours.
Oh, wow.
Gave me some tips.
Yeah.
So off I went, and I started and I launched the channel. And I have loved every minute ever since, because it's given me the opportunity to share my values in terms of cooking. But when I cook, I don't make a video, if you know what I mean. So I cook and I video myself cooking. And you will find that all of my videos are very authentic, if you see what I mean. I'm not talking following a script.
Yeah.
Often I go off on a tangent, because I think that is what real life is about.
Of course. Yeah.
And I really, really love to be able to share some genuine food with what you've got in the house without spending a fortune. And my cooking is very much linked to the ethos of affordability, because really there is a cost of living crisis and people really welcome it.
Yeah. Now, the reality, I imagine, is something that is being absorbed, but also that thing you touched on of, not necessarily having a really rigid script that you're following each time, because all of these cooking shows that we may see on the daytime TV or at the weekends, everything, I mean, there's a place for it, but everything is so slick and polished, and I'm sure you're very good at what you do, but touching on those bits, it's kind of that you want it to be, I guess, a bit rough around the edges in the best, rustic in some senses, and actually, there is maybe no pressure on it being really quick and you can experiment. And I guess for you, at the stage of your life when you said you want to feel a bit more free and slow down a bit, that's kind of like the sweet spot in between.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, because the value of my channel is not driven by a commercial purpose. I never launched the channel with the intention of becoming famous or to make money. My intention was to share good cooking, especially to the younger generation. And that enables me to do it in a way that fits with my values. And that is really important, because if you do that, if you do things because you genuinely believe in them, then actually the economies and the financing will take care of it. You will be successful regardless in anything you do in life. And you're absolutely right, rough around the edges, which is what my listeners love, because I make mistakes and I don't cut them out.
That's so refreshing, because every single time a chef does something on TV or anything like that, they take a bite or they take, a bit of their dinner that they've been cooking at the moment and they go, I've never ever seen a chef go, that's a bit rubbish, that, isn't it? It's not very nice.
I made a cake once and I burned it, an apple pie, and I called it How Not to Bake an Apple Pie. People find it refreshing because at the end of the day, we all learn from our mistakes, and if everything is polished and perfect, you will never learn. And actually, by me making a mistake and showing the mistake and then correcting it, I think it gives people permission to be themselves and make mistakes. And one of the key principles of the channel is to target the younger generation. I'm saddened to see so many young adults who are not able to cook. My children learned to cook for both my wife and I. All three of them went to university, and they were amazed that their friends could not cook, and their friends were even more amazed that they could. So that paints a picture, and if you think about it, it's a problem, because children watch their parents, but if their parents are surviving on takeaway and on fast food, that's what all they are role modeling those behaviors. So it's not surprising that the NHS is crippled, because actually that is the future. So in my little, I try to promote affordable cooking, but genuine cooking, starting from scratch, using a few ingredients, and it is simple, it's not difficult. And showing the mistakes is important, because people have that permission to be able to do so.
Yeah, and there are way too many times I've jazzed up a dish I'm cooking, and there's just no saving it anymore. It is absolutely ruined. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from you, Francesco, on your YouTube channel, TortellinoTime, talking about this documentary you've made with us. We'll hear more on that in a second. And actually, the process of filming it after a brand new song from Miley Cyrus, which is going to be part of the new Avatar film soundtrack towards the
spoken word.
Okay, well, let's go back to Francesco Elia. He is our guest at the moment. We have struck on, well, very tasty food, and we're just talking about food, and I'm sorry if that's making you hungry right now and you haven't quite got round to putting the dinner on yet. He started a YouTube channel called TortellinoTime to share his love for the cuisine, but also make short films about some of its realities and the people that make it possible in sort of the food industry back in his roots of the Isle of Sicily. And we've been hearing about his heritage there and Francesco's links and how he was born there in Sicily, and how people are sort of keeping those traditional methods of producing food alive, particularly in this case olive oil, which is the documentary he's looking at. So I wondered with Francesco, is it still normal to have people working in these industries through generations of families? Because, you know, they just love doing it. It's in their blood.
It is very, very common. And that is what actually is keeping those traditions alive. And I talk about it in the documentary, the threat with globalisation, where unfortunately, even in Sicily, globalisation is reaching the strands of those traditions and changing them. And one of the things that they were explaining to me at the meal is that the threat they see is where big multinationals are trying to enter the market and use only 20% of the Sicilian oil and brand it as Sicilian oil, when then they blend with the cheap oil from other countries, or indeed not even olive oil. And the reason why those traditions are kept alive is because they're family businesses. But it is unfortunate that they are struggling to maintain those traditions alive, because I call it greed. The greed of the world is there. Everybody's trying to make money, and the younger generation are not that interested anymore. They all want to do different things, and it is actually a problem worldwide, not just in Sicily. But obviously, in Sicily, it's more visible for me because I'm Sicilian and I can document it, of course. But it is beautiful because you can see the passion in those people who are still doing it today, and that is beautiful to see, but also heartbroken to see that potentially they could be threatened by globalization outside again.
So you have this incredible passion for cooking. You have the history, of course, with your upbringing in Sicily. You come to the UK. You reach the stage of your life now, and you want to start this YouTube channel. You want to start documenting things like this. What was it like to delve into this world of creating, putting these videos together, and in the craft of actually doing that? Had you ever done anything like this before?
You really know the answer to that,
No,
don't you?
I don't. Not assuming at all.
Okay. Okay, I will tell you, I'll give you the answer in a different way. A nightmare. What was the nightmare? The learning of having to upload YouTube, having to understand the algorithm, terminology which I never had to familiarize myself with before, and having to learn how to edit a video and so on. And I always made a promise that it's my toy. I want to make sure that I'm making my toy, and I need to be totally in control, because at the moment I need to understand it. But I'll tell you one thing, Jake. It was a walk in the park because he's driven by the passion of wanting to make it happen.
That's the answer I want. That's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, and I used to watch videos on how to edit. I used to watch I've got a couple of cameras which I purchased, research the best equipment for cooking. So if you really want something, you will put the time in and you will make it happen. So everything then, as long as your strategy and your objective and your purpose is clear in your mind, and my purpose is very much to add value to those people who are not able to cook, and as I mentioned to you, the younger generation or anybody who wants to learn how to cook, then the rest is irrelevant. It's my personal commitment.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Then it becomes easy. It becomes very easy.
Yeah, and it just, you sort of like, not muddle through it, but as you say, you're learning all the time, and I guess not to stress about it too much, because as you're saying, you will get better at it, you will learn, and you'll get new equipment, and things maybe start to click into place. That
and you make mistakes.
Yeah, and you make mistakes, as you were saying, and it's part of the journey. But when you're filming these videos, what's the actual process of that like? Does it feel really natural now? Did it feel natural from the very first time you did it? That's talking to camera and then thinking maybe in your head, oh, this is how it will look afterwards, or is there really not that much thinking, as you're saying, going into it?
Okay, it's a journey, and I am an introvert, and initially I found it really difficult to talk to a camera when there's nobody there.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you now, and it's very natural. And my wife helped me initially, but obviously it's my toy. It's unfair for me to ask my wife to film me every time. I've done about 400 of them. So I will admit the first 20 were difficult because being shy, I had to reconcile myself from talking to this camera. But then I knew that I could retake it. But then I noticed that my retakes were not as good as the first take, because the first take was genuine. So I thought, you know what, forget it. Forget the camera is there. Just pretend you're talking to people and they're listening to you. So I'm thinking I'm talking to Paul, I'm talking to Jim, I'm talking to Robert, I'm talking to Elisa. And actually, I almost like I see them sitting in front of me, and it becomes very natural. And actually, that's when you are delivering a very authentic message, and that's why if I make mistakes, actually sometimes I apologize to them, even if they're not there.
I know you really wanted this to go well, but it just hasn't happened this time. I'm so sorry. And you've done this beautiful documentary we've talked about. You've done some of the recipe videos and some of those cook-alongs in a very natural way. What are you looking to focus on maybe going forward? Maybe both of those things together. What brings you more joy, maybe satisfaction out of those? Two things really: more cooking, more spreading of the Mediterranean diet, and at the moment we are during the Christmas season clearly, and I'm producing a series of videos which promote Sicilian Christmas cooking and Italian Christmas cooking. Now we're talking. But more importantly, the channel was 2 years old last week. And my long-term strategy has always been to start promoting more healthy living. So I've used the first 2 years as a way to create some foundations and some reach. Come January, I'm now working on a series where I will be focusing on a lot of plant-based food. Oh, more vegetarian. That's really interesting. And it's big at the moment. It's becoming more known about. It is, yes. Yeah. But I've done lots of vegetarian dishes already on the channel. There is a vegetarian playlist, which actually, ironically, the most successful videos do, and not surprisingly, based on what you already know. But this time, come January,
I will be coupling my recipes with experts. So I'm not just going to cook a vegetarian dish, but I will also be using certain ingredients with some help from people who understand about culinary methods, and then marry the health benefit of eating those dishes and alternatives and so on. So I want to start attaching some science to the meal.
One word, Francesco: bellissimo. That's all.
Oh, grazie.
Grazie tutti. That's all I have to say. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about all of that, Francesco, and thank you so much for coming on BBC Upload.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And Francesco's YouTube channel is TortellinoTime. We'll hear the audio extract of his documentary After the Beautiful South. Okay, let's get into the documentary we're talking about with Francesco Elia about obviously his YouTube channel and his take on when the sun meets the olive, the voice of his homeland of Sicily.
Every journey begins with something familiar, a road you know, a smell in the air, and a memory that comes back. This film is my personal thank you to Castelvetrano, a place that has given me warmth, friendship, and a deeper love for Sicily. Just a few minutes from the sea, Castelvetrano is a land of history and traditions. It is also the home of the temples of Selinunte, standing silent and strong, reminding us that Sicily has always been alive with passion, culture, and human warmth. It is November, but the temperature is almost 27 degrees. The light is soft, the sky is clear, and everywhere you look there are olive trees. It is the harvest season. The air smells of earth and work. Today I'm meeting a local farmer. We will spend time in his olive grove and then follow the olives to the mill, where they will become extra virgin olive oil. But more than anything, I want to share the heart of this land and the kindness of its people. I meet Enzo in his olive grove. He welcomes me with the simplicity and kindness that you often find in Sicily. Christian, who has worked in olive groves for 15 years, shows me the abbacchiatore, the tool used to shake the branches gently. Once harvested, the olives must be pressed quickly. Fresh olives produce the best oil. We load the crates and drive to the mill of Filippo, a man who has kept his family traditions alive for 70 years. When we arrive, the mill is full of life. People come from nearby towns with bags, crates and baskets. Everyone waits their turn. Filippo welcomes us with a big smile, even though he sleeps only 2 or 3 hours during harvest season. His father and his uncles started this mill in 1948, and the family continues the work with pride. Filippo explains the whole process with calm and patience. The olives are weighed, washed, crushed, and then mixed slowly until they become a soft paste. The paste goes into a centrifuge that separates oil from water, a bit like a large washing machine on a high spinning cycle. Then the oil flows through the pipes into the final separator. This is the moment when the oil becomes the green gold of Castelvetrano. One part of the story that many people do not know is what happens to the waste. The crushed stones and skins become sanza. This is sent to a special plant where another small percentage of oil is extracted, something between 1 to 1.5%. The dry part becomes fuel for boilers. The leaves are dried and used by bakeries or by farmers as animal feed. The water separated from the oil is stored in natural basins and later used to irrigate fields during dry months. Here, nothing is thrown away. Everything returns to the land. Filippo tells me that the biggest problem today is not finding workers for the mill. The real challenge is selling the oil at a fair price. Small producers like Enzo cannot compete with big industrial systems. The oil from Castelvetrano is pure, but large companies buy it only to blend it with cheaper oils from other countries. Unfortunately, this creates confusion, and many people no longer know what real extra virgin olive oil tastes like. This is why I always tell viewers on my cooking channel, good olive oil is not expensive. It is honest work, it is health, it is culture, and it deserves respect. Now comes the best moment. Filippo brings warm bread and the fresh oil we saw coming out of the machine for Julie and I to try. When we test the oil, everything becomes clear. The smell of the fields, the warmth of the sun, the work of many hands, all inside one drop. Unfortunately, in my view, globalization is making everything look and feel the same. Food, prices, production methods. But this day reminds me that traditions survive only when someone protects them. This is why I made this video, to show the world that beautiful things still exist. Simple things, true things, things that come from the heart. To Enzo and Filippo, thank you for your generosity. And to everyone watching, I hope this short film helps you see Sicily with the same affection that I feel. Sometimes, the best story begins with a single olive. Grazie.
Thank you to Francesco Elia from Norfolk for sharing his incredible work in the last 2 years of his YouTube channel and that documentary there on his YouTube channel, TortellinoTime, about the realities of olive oil production, something very close to his heart because of his homeland on Sicily. If you want to obviously go and watch that, there are some amazing sort of visuals and pictures to go with that, obviously being a YouTube channel and a documentary. TortellinoTime, go and see what that's all about over there and show him some support. I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. And yes.